I attract money, wealth is in my reach. I got everything I want and everything I need. I keep my mind open, abundance overflows. I budget right and I know where all my money goes. I am debt free and money works for me. Money in my sleep, a magnet for prosperity.
What up, kingdom builders? Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Ebony Yvonne, your favorite business coach in these internet streets. Welcome to 𝗳cie Land. This is my internet home where I help you to go from confused to the cash generating boss that we both know you are meant to be. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a very special celebrity business video where I'm going to share business lessons that you can learn from celebrities, inspired trends, and news, right? In this particular video, we're going to be talking about Caitlyn Jenner, formerly known as Bruce Jenner, and some really good lessons that you can learn on tenacity. So this is going to be pretty much kind of a new series that I'm going to be bringing to you guys. I did my business lessons that you can learn from Rihanna video. You guys absolutely loved it, and so it really gave me an idea to create a new series called Celebrity Business, where I literally share business lessons, life lessons that we can learn from trending topics that are in celebrity news, celebrity gossip, right? I'm actually thinking about doing a video on 𝗵⁴ and her branding as far as the whole Pursuit of 𝗵⁴ book and the TV show that's coming out. So if that's a video that you guys want to see me do, let me know in the comments and I will do a branding analysis on why I think this is actually a really bad move and bad timing for 𝗵⁴ trying to push all these brands where everything else is going on. But anywho, let's go ahead and get into this Caitlyn Jenner Untold. So I was on Netflix. I actually went to Netflix so that I could watch the Untold, which is a series of like different stories of celebrities, athletes, public figures, whatever, and kind of their journey to stardom, the rise and fall and all of that. And I went to Netflix to watch 𝗬𝗨𝗕𝗦𝗄𝗕 in the Palace, right? And while I was looking for that, I came across the Untold Caitlyn Jenner story, and I decided to watch that instead. I'm still going to watch 𝗬𝗨𝗕𝗦𝗄𝗕 in the Palace at some point, but I was so inspired by Caitlyn's story and everything that she really shared in this docu-series, right? So I want to get into some lessons that we can learn even as business owners, as entrepreneurs, on tenacity when it comes to doing something that you've never done before and just dealing with the ups and downs that comes along that journey, right? So I want to preface this video. Moving forward, I'm going to be talking about Bruce Jenner and his journey going through the Olympics. So I will be using the name Bruce when I talk about him, and I will be using the pronouns he and him. But I am doing this because when Caitlyn did the documentary, she specifically said that it was Bruce who did the Olympics, right? That was a character that she created, so to speak, that did these things. So that is why I will be using those pronouns, because this is how she referred to Bruce in the documentary. I always want to make sure that I'm being respectful of people's pronouns and how they want to be addressed. So that is why I will be using the pronouns that I use when I talk about Bruce and referring to Caitlyn Jenner as Bruce Jenner, all right? So don't be coming for me in the comments. Don't be adding me and all that other stuff. I'm telling y'all why I'm going to be using what I'm going to be using, okay? And I'm not trying to offend anyone. So let's go ahead and get into the lessons that you can learn about tenacity and business growth from the Caitlyn Jenner Untold story. So the first lesson that we can all learn from this documentary and Caitlyn really sharing her story is that you have to be willing to try, right? You have to be willing to do something different and just give things a try, because you never know how that can turn out for you. And so one thing that Caitlyn talked about in this docu-series is from a really young age, as a child, he always felt different. she always struggled with identity issues, you know, wanting to play dress up and all these other things. But like one day at school, like the PE coach told him to run and tag all the people or something, and he ended up running around the school and having the fastest time out of everybody. And it was no big deal to him. He didn't think he was anything special, but he ended up like starting to participate in different sports and stuff, even though that wasn't really his thing. But when he actually started playing basketball, doing water skiing, doing all these different sports, Bruce realized that, hey, like this is an outlet for me. This is a moment in time when I don't have to think about everything that's going on in life. I'm able to just do these things, and it turns out, you know, I actually am athletic. I do like playing sports, right? So let me see how far I can take this just as a hobby, just as an outlet to not focus on other things in the world. And that is something that I think we have to embody ourselves, just being able to try different things. Like even in my own life, I think why this really resonated with me so much is because when I first started going to therapy, like my therapist was asking me, Ebony, like what are your hobbies? What are your interests? What are the things that you like to do as a kid? And then she really encouraged me to like do the activities that I like to do as a kid. Like, why did you stop doing those things, right? And it was pretty much because it wasn't a reality, or like, this is like, you're an adult, right? You have to put childish things behind you. But as a kid, I loved singing, I loved dancing. I went to a school for mass communications and performing arts, so I did theater, all those things. I was in the band. Like, I loved mass communications, I love journalism, I love radio. Like, my goal as a kid, I wanted to be like a radio DJ in real life. So I'm not surprised that I'm actually doing what I'm doing now. But I also had a lot of hobbies and interests. I did cheerleading, I did skating, right? All these things. So I say that to say, think about your own life. Like, what are the things that you really like to do as a kid that you kind of stopped doing because maybe people told you you couldn't do them? Maybe life just happened, right? And so you had to stop doing those things. Think about the activities that you like to do that brought you joy, right? That brought meaning and value to your life. And then also, if there was something that you always wanted to do but you never tried it for whatever reason, don't be too afraid, even as an adult, to start to try something new and do something different. You guys know I recently picked back up on skating right in the middle of the panorama. But we're not gonna talk about that because y'all know I broke my ankle skating. But this is a motivational video, okay? So we're gonna pin that for a separate video. But I started skating again. I learned how to swim. Like, as a kid, my biggest fear was always drowning. I was afraid of the water, and I never learned how to swim. And about 4 or 5 years ago, actually, that was one of the first things that I did, is like I started taking swimming lessons, and I realized that I really, really love swimming. So being willing to try new things is the first lesson that I took away from the Untold Caitlyn Jenner documentary. Let's get into the second takeaway that I had, and this is to set a specific goal with a deadline, right? I always love seeing that meme where it says a goal without a deadline is a wish, right? But one thing about Bruce Jenner is he went to the Olympics the first year, I think in 1972 or something, and he placed 10th in the Olympics, and he didn't really take it serious. He was just kind of like, I'm here, I'm not even meant to be here, I'm just a regular average guy from America. And then when he actually saw, I forget the other guy, I think he was from the Soviet Union, but the guy that actually placed first, he saw him doing that medal presentation and them putting that gold medal around his neck. And that sparked something in Bruce, and Bruce said, that's going to be me the next Olympics. And 4 years I am going to win the gold medal. Right? And so that's when he went back home. He started training and really taking his goal serious, because he's like, I have one shot, the next Olympics coming up in 1976. That's me, gold medal, mine is happening. We doing this thing, right? And so that is something that I took away. Is like, a lot of times people say they want to do things, they set goals, but they don't really set goals with intention. They don't put a deadline behind it, and they don't do the work to actually be able to achieve the goal. So that was another big takeaway that I had, is setting goals, and not just setting a goal with an open end, right? Setting a specific goal. Bruce's goal was to, number one, make it to the Olympics the next term, which was 4 years later, right? And not only make it to the Olympics, but to win the gold medal. So that was a very specific, clear goal. He set a goal when it was going to be done and what was going to be done. And then he started taking action steps to make sure that that goal could be a reality. So let's get into number 333. And if you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at my notes, y'all. I was taking notes watching this documentary. Yes, I'm that girl that was taking notes watching TV, because that's what I do. Like, I don't really watch a lot of commercial TV, right? Like TV shows, sitcoms and stuff. Mostly what I watch is documentaries and docuseries. I love to follow other people's journey. One of my favorite documentaries is 𝗵𝗗𝗕𝗦𝗖𝗥𝗜𝗕𝗘 Calculated Risk, right? I should do a whole separate video on that. But when I watch documentaries, I always like to look for takeaways, things that I can take away, lessons that I can learn from seeing someone else's journey. So anyways, let's get into number 3. So number 3 is, you have to believe in yourself even if nobody else does. Y'all, like, I laughed and I cried so much during this documentary. And one of the things that really kind of stood out to me was, once Bruce came back from the first Olympics and he placed 10th, he was like, you know what, I'm going to train every single day. And he trained every day, 365 days a year, 8 to 10 hours a day. No days off, every single day. And so when he started training, he would basically go compete in different decathlons across the states or whatever, in different regions. And like, people were dragging him left and right. And when I say dragging, like news titles talking about unimpressed, Jenner's trials unimpressed, right? Fails to meet expectations. And so when you're on your business journey, and I'm laughing, y'all, but sometimes that's just me. Like, I always try to find the joy in things, right? That's just how I was raised. But with all of this negative publicity, people not believing in him, writing all these articles saying that they were unimpressed, he failed to meet expectations, all of these things, he never quit. Bruce kept going. He kept, like, you have to have tenacity to be an athlete, to be an entrepreneur. Even when all the odds are stacked against you, you have to have the tenacity to keep going, regardless of what the naysayers are saying, regardless of what people say, their opinions, regardless of, if you have a misstep here or there. Like, on this journey, you have ups and downs. You have where you're going up those hills and you have those really, really high highs. You're hitting new milestones, right? But then you also have lows where things don't necessarily go as planned. You have to learn how to pivot. We are still in the midst of, one of the biggest global crisis ever. And when 2020 came along, I guarantee you that every single entrepreneur out there had to pivot in order to keep their business running in some capacity. And if they didn't pivot any, most likely they're probably not around right now, right? That's why we no longer have Kodak films. That's why we're down to only one last blockbuster, because these companies failed to be able to pivot and keep moving in the midst of, you know, transitions and things going on. But not Bruce Jenner. Bruce was like, y'all can say whatever y'all want to say. Y'all can be laughing now. I'm still going to be doing my training every single day. I'm still putting in these 8 hours so that I can run this 1500. I'm going to lift these weights. Like, I'm going to do what I need to do to show all of y'all, right? And that's the type of energy you have to have as an entrepreneur. You can't be so kind of fickle to where you allow the opinions of other people to really affect how you move and shake on a daily basis, right? It could be so hard to move forward in your business when you don't have support of family and friends. It could be hard if your family and friends are telling you, girl, you can't do that. Like, nah, that ain't for you, right? You have to have the tenacity and the courage to still move forward. When you wholeheartedly believe that something is for you, it is for you, right? God didn't give you those desires just for you to be like, you know what, they right, I ain't gonna do this. You have to have the tenacity to keep pushing forward, to believe in yourself, and to go all in to make your dreams a reality. So when it came time for Bruce to really get serious about training, he said, I didn't have money to afford a trainer. Like, me and my wife, we were living in a small 1-bedroom apartment. I was selling insurance part-time. She had, I can't remember exactly what her job was, but she had, you know, her 9 to 5, and they were barely making ends meet. So he started training himself, and he just did whatever he could to put in the time, to do the work so that he could prepare for the Olympics. And he just started going to competitions on his own will, right? And so the last lesson that you can learn from this documentary is, when the student is ready, the teacher always appears. So in the docuseries, Bruce is just going to these meets on his own. You know, he's footing the bill for himself. And then he actually goes to one like race or whatever. I can't remember what state it was in, but he ran into this guy that was like, oh my God, like, you got something special. I want to train you, right? And so if he never took the first steps to say, I can't afford a trainer, I will train myself, then he never would have even went to that meet to where he met the guy that actually ended up becoming his professional trainer and helping to condition him for the Olympics, and then helping to take him to that next level that he actually needed to go to. And I think this is a great lesson for business, because so many times I'm in so many Facebook groups where new entrepreneurs will say, well, I can't afford a business coach. I can't afford to invest in courses or training or even tools or apps to grow their business. And I tell them all the time, listen, you have to start where you are. If you don't have the money to invest in coaches, to invest in strategy or knowledge or whatever, you need to invest the time. Like, that is literally what I did. When I first started my business, I was living paycheck to paycheck. I didn't have money to invest in courses and coaches and all that stuff. So I literally started where I was with what I had. And over time, as I made more money, I'm like, okay, I'm saving this money so that I can invest in a coach. I knew exactly what coach I wanted to work with. So I saved my money up until I had enough money to invest in that coach that I wanted to work with. And I think that's a missing component that a lot of small businesses and entrepreneurs are missing now. Like, they expect everything to be kind of like popcorn, instant success. And I think a lot of that comes from technology and, you know, the the fact that we have social media where people want everything instantaneously, but you have to be willing to invest. If you don't have the money, invest the time. Be willing to do what you need to do until the teacher appears. So that was another big takeaway that I had. Those are the 4 takeaways that I had from the Untold Caitlyn Jenner story. Have you seen this documentary? If so, in the comments, let me know, what are your thoughts? Did you enjoy it? Did you have any takeaways from the documentary that I didn't share? Let me know down in the comments below. And again, if you guys want to see the Pursuit of Portia, the branding celebrity business video, let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for stopping by my internet home. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you turn on those notifications so you get instant notifications the next time I upload a video just like this one. In the meantime, you can go ahead and click this video right here to see my business lessons you can learn from Rihanna video. Bye, y'all.